Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming. We apologize for the delay. We had some connectivity issues, and now, fortunately, I'm the host of this call as Lloyd just transferred it to me. Welcome, everyone. I would like to remind all of you of a few of our principles. We have an an invited person here today, which is Lorenzo. He's going to represent the product committee of Intersect. He is going to do a presentation. I would advise everyone to wait until the presentation is over to raise your hands and ask your questions live on call. But if you would like to ask them on chat because you are not comfortable enough speaking in front of multiple people, that is also absolutely fine. We'll be happy to answer all of your questions. Once again, this is an open process for the budget proposal for Cardano 2025. If you have any other questions, please refer back to our other sessions and re-listen to them. They are full of information, completely robust responses, robust questions from the community, and they are extremely insightful. Now, shall we get this started? Lawrence, by the way, Lawrence is here representing the budget committee. He's going to be helping Lawrence today.
Hello,
Please,
everybody.
voice.
Hi, everyone.
Thank
It's
you so
Lorenzo.
much.
So yes, thanks for the introduction, Lara. Just to let everyone know, obviously, we'll run through this is going to be the product committee's proposal. So this is the vision and goals for 2025. So Lorenzo will take us through the deck. And yes, if you've got any questions, I'll be monitoring the chat. So feel free to put anything on now. And if you don't have any questions, I shall happily think of some for Lorenzo as we go through. So over to Lorenzo. Hopefully you can share your screen.
Yeah,
Hello,
Lorenzo, just
everyone.
before we start, I would also like to tell everyone that we have an honorary guest today, Professor Stephen Lupian. He is a representative of the University of Wyoming. The University of Wyoming is one of the board members of Intersect, one of the founding entities, and one of the board members of Intersect. Welcome, Professor. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, over to you, Lorenzo, officially. Welcome.
That's fine. Hello, everyone. So let's see if this works. Screen sharing. Okay. Do you guys see something on my screen? Hopefully
We
the
do.
presentation as a good start. Okay.
Yes.
Let me copy the link for this. Um, so let's start. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Here it is. Okay. So first of all, hi everyone. I think I've met some of you, but not all. I'm Lorenzo. I represent here the product committee as the secretary. Perhaps I'll check in the participant that we will have also some of the voting seats and participants of the voter committee of the product committee here in the call. So what I'm gonna walk you through today is a brief presentation about the work that the product committee has been facilitating so far. And which relates to these proposed 2025 goals for Cardano. I will not walk you through the proposed research budget that the product committee will bring forward because that's not fully formed yet. But if anyone wants to participate in that process, also those calls are open. If you see here, my first slide is about open consultation. So these goals have been created through consultation, and the consultation is not closed. It's still open and ongoing, and I recommend everyone who wants to participate to scan this QR code. You will have a few options here to participate, and I'll also bring you through these options over the presentation. Also, before starting going through the slides, I'd like everyone to have access to the slides. So let's make sure, let me share them in the chat so you guys can go through them. Okay, so let's start. So before getting into the details of the current version of these proposed goals that have been created through this consultation so far, I just want to give you a brief overview about the product committee itself for whoever might not know it yet. So the product committee was formed around 2.5 months ago in its current version. But of course, there's been other versions before, and it's formed of 7 voting seats and 20 plus SMEs, which kind of bring context from different parts of the community. The product committee has at the moment 2 key goals. One is closer to us, which is facilitating an open and transparent process to create this 2025 Cardano roadmap. So these are the kind of shared goals that I will be working you through today. And the value of this is to align What we will be proposing to have a common direction and a common set of goals. So that's the first aim. And then once we have facilitated this as per the committee, we aim also to facilitate a similar process but more long term. So facilitating the creation of an open and transparent process for shared long term 5-year Cardano vision. So we acknowledge that this year we have been running this process side by side also with the other committees, but we also know, and there's been a lot of feedback about this, that from 2025 onward, we want to start with vision and then setting goals. So this is something that we, as a product committee, we want to help facilitate. Okay, let's go to the process. So over the past, again, 2.5 months, is 8 weeks in relation to these particular goals. We worked with community committees, working groups, and just people with expertise that wanted to join, kind of drafting these goals. So the process so far went through like this. So we had these initial 20 plus SMEs which joined the product committee. We drafted a set of goals with them, and then we brought this set of draft goals to committees and working groups to provide feedback and also expand the goals. Same thing at the same time, we brought this to focus groups. So for example, dApps builders, and again, with their feedback, we expanded them. And again, at the same time with this, we have open calls, 3 per week in the first month and a half. Now we have 1 weekly open call on Thursdays, which again, you can all join. And this helped us kind of refine, expand, and adjust these goals. And again, this is still ongoing, so it will continue. And on top of this, we have open mirrors, which again, you can all access from that QR code, and also an open survey, because different people will participate in this process in different ways. Some people have time to join calls. Some people maybe don't, and they want to just provide their feedback in other ways. Once we go through this process of consultation, which will end when there is a good indication that we are at a good stage. So far, that these goals have been received quite well. They will be submitted as a proposal on Gov2 and on Cardano Forum to further have feedback and comments. And then once we all feel that those are ready, then they will be submitted alongside the budget proposal as an info action on chain. So this was the process that we followed. Let's talk about the goals that kind of have been, again, consultation. This is open. You'll see these slides a few times. Just want to make sure that people have a way to get this QR code. You can also find it here on the product committee. Let me also send this so that you guys see it in the meantime. So let's go to the goals themselves. So during this consultation period, we have identified. Sorry, I clicked to the wrong slide. Yeah. Okay, it's fine. So during this consultation period, which lasted around 8 weeks and is still continuing, 4 key topics came up and 8 goals. And this is what we have so far. The largest topic that was identified is this getting more usage. Cardano, like any other ecosystem, or if you can say more simply, any other product, so anything that provides value to users needs to have usage. So the main pain point, the main element that needs to be brought forward, again, this came out of the consultation so far, is this getting more usage. This topic is divided in 1 key goal, the one that you see up here, and 4 supporting goals. Again, this is just how these goals came up, and this is how they end up supporting each other. So the key goal related to this topic is driving initiatives to bring developers and so dApps and so users to Cardano to support real-world applications. So helping, supporting the ecosystem to find real product market fit. And again, as I said, more broadly, Cardano, like any other ecosystem, to survive and to thrive, it needs to get usage. So it needs to solve problems for users. So this is why many people mention this. We have 4 supporting goals related to this key goal up here. The first one relates to making it easier to build on Cardano. The assumption is that if it is, so at the moment we got feedback that Cardano is not the easiest blockchain to build on. And the assumption is that if it is easier to build on Cardano, then business and builders will be able to or more easily solve their use cases through Cardano. So bringing more developers in allows us also to solve problems from everyday users, supporting this broader get more usage goal. The second supporting goal relates to making it Cardano a viable and competitive option. So we know that Cardano is not the only blockchain, or it's not the only options when builders need to decide what to build on. So the assumption at the moment is that Cardano is not competitive yet against other options. And again, there are details about this. So the goal here relates to any activity that allows us to make Cardano competitive, one of which might be making it easier to build on Cardano. And so making sure the businesses and builders choose Cardano amongst other options. And again, if this is true and it's achieved, then it helps us get more dApps, get more developers, get more users. Supporting these goals, again, the main goal, and also these two goals up here, an element of funding came up during the consultation. So if we're able to attract more builders, right? And if, because Cardano is a competitive option, it's easy to build on Cardano, that we also need to be able to make clear what are the funding mechanisms for these builders, both builders that build Cardano itself. So what are the ways to, for example, access money from the treasury? And this budget process might be one of those. And but also what are other ways? If I'm building on Cardano, what are the clear funding mechanisms for me as a business to support this? And to support all of this, again, and also the key topic, the last supporting goal for the getting more usage, which came up, is related to the marketing side. So raising Cardano reputation through effective marketing and positive public relations. So the main challenges that have been brought up are related to Cardano recognition and how much Cardano is known and what is known for. So the assumption is that if we raise Cardano image and reputation, is also more likely to attract, again, developers and users. Also, if we are able to achieve the first three supporting goals, then we also need to make sure that people know about it. So we need to make sure that people know that it is easy to build on Cardano, that Cardano is a competitive option, and then there are funding mechanisms and funding ways to be supported on Cardano. So this is the largest bucket, the get more usage, and I think the reason for this is that there is an overall, let's say, concern or challenge that came from the consultation, which is this product market fit. So that's why most of the conversation so far and the feedback has been related to how do we get more usage. On top of this get more usage topic, okay, the click works, other three topics came up, which are not necessarily less important. They just had less feedback so far. So these three topics are in order: governance, business as usual, and vision. Okay, let's start from the top one here, governance. We all know that we just got into the age of Voltaire effectively 1st of September with Vanguard fork number 1. That basically gives access to on-chain governance, not even full access because we still need to wait for chain number 2. So this goal speaks to all the activities that we need to focus on as a community in our first year in full governance to support our newly formed government. So support evolution of an open and reliable governance system for Cardano that encourages wide community participation. And initiatives related to this might relate to expanding the community participation. This is key for governance. Making sure that the government is stable post-bootstrapping phase, again, after chain number 2. Refinement of the protocol and ledger, and also refinement of the tooling, and just general like education and marketing. So these were some of the examples that were brought up under this topic and goal. The last two goals, again, not in order of importance, but they kind of make two sides of the same coin. So on one side, you got business as usual, which speaks about all the initiatives that are related to the core qualities of Cardano. So making sure that, well, again, the core qualities related to the ledger, but also the core qualities related to our community are maintained. So how do we make sure the business as usual progress? And on the flip side, not just looking at what we have and maintaining our assets, how do we move forward? So the last topic relates to vision. So again, as mentioned, now we are in the last step of the original roadmap, the Age of Voltaire. How do we create what comes next? So this last topic talks about that, creating and operationalizing the first version of a distributed process for Cardano community to define its future. So how do we define what is the future vision for Cardano? What is the next roadmap as well? Again, and these two create almost two sides of the same coin, like what is today and where do we need to go? Some examples below business as usual are increasing the infrastructure reliability, for example, in relation to our fork events. Again, from now on, our fork events will append through governance. So that's quite an important topic. Also, nurturing, supporting, and expanding the Cardano community. This is one of the examples below business as usual. And also diversifying the player who contribute on Cardano development. This came up many times, for example, during conversation. How do we make sure that the core development work distribution goes beyond just IOG? So this is a topic that came up multiple times. Another vision, again, suggestions would be related to starting high-level research items to support and informing this vision process, creating this first version of a process that can be reused for this 5-year vision, which is like an iterative process. So these four broad topics. So get more usage, governance, business as usual, and vision. And these 8 goals are the current stage. So what we came up so far through consultation. But again, I'll encourage everyone to participate in this process. We have open calls weekly, and also you have a survey which you can submit your thoughts through, and also an open mirror where you see all these goals and you can give feedback for each of them. On top of this, in this page, which I shared and which you can access through that QR code, you will find a document with detailed write-up about each of these goals, and you're welcome to comment on that as well. I'll close up, and then we'll open for questions. Hopefully, I'm good with time. So I just want to reiterate that this process is not a one-time only. It's not fixed. We're going through consultation. Even after this hopefully gets approved by the DREPs, we get more data, and this should be so until we have delivered them. Right? So it's nothing. It is fixed. I guess that's all I wanted to share, and I'm open for questions or thoughts or feedback.
Okay,
Thank you so much, Lorenzo. I encourage now every single one who's listening and who would like to ask Lorenzo any questions, especially because this is a budget session that involves the product committee deeply. Please go ahead, raise your hand, and we will go directly to you, to your question. Or if not, ask them in the chat and I can voice them out loud. So either Lorenzo or Lawrence are able to answer it. If not, why don't you give, oh yes, we do have Mercy. Please go ahead, Mercy.
Hey, Mercy.
Yeah, hi, Lorenzo. That's a great presentation. Thanks, Lara. So my question is, understandably, we are looking for product market fit. So this is quite code centric, right? But I'm trying to figure out how to put the humans in there, especially seeing how global our community is. And I'm wondering, so this is the very first slide where it talks about the broad goals. I don't know if we should go back there. Is there any chance, and I'm going to make it a point to either, be part of these discussions or figure out if there's anybody within sort of our communities that can join. But the question that I'm asking, maybe it's the second slide, where it says attract developers and dApps. Yeah, that one. Is there maybe somewhere in here, and it's not too visible, there is a way to grow our own developers, right? Instead of sort of bringing or even attracting existing developers. And I'm saying this from the perspective of sort of communities in, say, sub-Saharan Africa and in India and, places that right now are not organically, coding and being part of things. But there is a big potential there, especially because they can, if we can start growing some developers in those areas, then they can actually start developing dApps that solve problems within their local communities. And as we all know, that is where we will have, as an ecosystem, we can have our biggest bang for buck in terms of, how much it costs and so on and so forth, adoption potential, in terms of number of people that could potentially be using these dApps and so on and so forth. Okay, I'm done. That was a long question, but I'm done now.
No, I think I captured it. So first I will start from so yes, there is room for that, and I'll add for context to this. So first of all, I just want to something that I haven't mentioned, or something that I always forget. So the context about these goals, it's important as well. So they are here, and we are working together to create them so that we have a common direction. So they talk about the what and the why something should be done. For example, the reason why we might want to make it easy to build on Cardano relates to getting more people in. Then how this is done, then it's up to each committee and actually everyone else in the ecosystem to kind of support these goals. Now, this said, a lot of discussion that generated this goal relate to what you mentioned. So there have been a lot of discussions about both talent retention, yeah, part of the
Perfect. Thank you.
So, Tracy, I want you to be able to one second. Okay, yeah, you fell out, but I'm back in. Don't worry. I'm going to repeat the question just for recording purposes. Could you give us a little bit more information on where we stand currently with the budget process and the budget itself, please?
Yes, so the budget process is still underway. We're at the socialization phase at the moment. So November is our socialization. So this is where, I think our first few open sessions that we ran with the community kind of gave a more holistical view on the budget process, the withdrawals, the management of ADA, etc. And now we're moving into specific committee sessions, which is where Lorenzo's coming doing the product, and then we'll have TSC this week and the others. So each committee owns their budget request, and it's an opportunity for them here to socialize that with the D reps in the community and then receive feedback and comments relating to that. As we move into December, we'll be moving to more of a finalized version. So this is where we'll be taking the work that the committees have done, producing a deck, getting it available online. It will be available in Buenos Aires, we hope, for people that are going to be there to review and look at. And that's still draft, to be clear. It's not finalized. It's only ever draft. But we will start to talk about more of the finalized numbers as we enter December. We're also planning on raising an info action with a more granular level of detail for the wider group to look at in December. Again, it's just keeping that socialization element going. So more people that review it and check the work that we've done, the more feedback we get, the more comments we get. So that's our plans for December. And then we go into January, which is hopefully the Chang Hard Fork will go into place. We'll be able to raise the appropriate governance actions, approve the Cardano budget, and then raise the appropriate governance and then treasury actions. So we're just updating all of our the budget committee website at the moment with our revised plans, and look forward to kind of communicating this wider, hopefully within the next week or so.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I am still going to encourage everyone from the community to ask any questions if they do have them. If you're here as a listener, that's absolutely fine as well. But Lawrence and Lorenzo as well.
Yep. So if I've got, I know I asked Lorenzo some questions last time, so
lovely.
just to kind of repeat these. So Lorenzo, about 3 weeks now, I believe Charles announced the Cardano 2 whilst he was in Buenos Aires at one of the Cardano summits. I'm keen to understand your thoughts and the committee's thoughts as to where the Cardano 2.0 view that was presented aligns with the budget.
Yep, that's a good question. So this process, again, the aim of the product committee is to help facilitate this process for the community to come together into these common goals. The proposal from Charles, it's one of those proposals that needs to be considered. And actually more in detail, one of the working groups of the product committee is research working group. And the leads of that working group are, they brought also the proposal, same proposal that Charles presented as Cardano 2.0, to the product committee, and we're currently going through feedback and discussions. So the simple answer is that that becomes part of this process, and we make sure that Charles' ideas are incorporated into this flow. In particular, this is a research proposal, so that comes through that process and that budget bucket, I would say. Yeah, I think that's mainly it. So it's part of the process.
Cool, thank you. And then additional question then, whilst we're waiting for some others to ask. So you mentioned it's still open. When do you see or envisage that the budget process being finalised for 2025? Sorry, not the budget, the product process. Sorry.
I was like, yes. Well, there are two sides here. So the time for the consultation has different steps, right? Of course, like first you don't know what are the potential goals. So the first step has been to kind of collate a potential set of goals with some SMEs willing to volunteer their time, and then went through a lot of changes and through the first steps. Now we're keeping all these options open and the open calls open. I think when both the product committee through the open calls and these surveys, and I think the budget committee as well, you will see that there has been enough consultation of one type, then it will be time to submit this as a proposal. And then whenever, again, there is good sentiment that, yeah, now it's refined enough and we are all more or less on the same page, then it needs to go through voting. So I would say like it's a matter of understanding what is the perception from the community about these different stages of consultation. I think this was one part of the question. Did you ask another part? So my brain, end of the day, is kind of getting
Well, that was the thing. One about getting involved what the process is. So, do you envisage the vision of Cardano that you've created evolving into 2025, or do you see it being fixed for the full year?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, what came out of this consultation so far, it's basically the shared brain of the shared mind of the community. What the community thinks so far. The assumption is that for the 2025 goals, the more data will come in at the beginning of 2025 and probably like Q1, Q2, the more these goals will get refined and adjusted like you would do for any goal. And then any data that comes in, again, if we will be able to support this process, it will inform the vision creation process, which will then inform hopefully a 2026 roadmap. So no, it's not fixed, and I think that's how it's supposed to be. We need to make sure that if new data come in, if new feedback comes in as well, then this can get adjusted accordingly. I think there is a hand raised as well.
John.
Yes, there is. John Gibson. Please go ahead. The stage is yours.
Oh, hey, thanks, guys, and thanks.
Oh, it's nobody special.
Yeah, thanks for the moment. I'm kind of actively engaged in the marketing group, but I'm not in a leadership position, so I'm still always trying to put the pieces together and things. And so when I look at sort of the problem challenge of how we might increase recognition and reputation, I'm just kind of wondering where the sub goals came from, increasing public awareness and things like that, where they sort of came from.
That's a great question. So the process involved connecting with every committee and also working groups, including the marketing working group. So we reviewed all the goals, we collected the feedback. So those sub goals will both come from feedback received from the marketing working group, but also, again, this is an open consultation. So this comes from feedback from anyone in the community. So this both align and inform the marketing working group, but also they provide feedback back to the marketing working group, because they'll say like, people have mentioned this and they have reason behind, and this might be useful to consider. So yeah, that is how I would say it.
Yeah. Okay. And is that a similar process for, I mean, all of the?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is what I was trying to clarify as well before. So these goals are, so the product committee aims to facilitate this process to get them together and kind of making a sense of what the community is suggesting. And then if this gets approved, we aim to kind of keep track and check how we're doing against these goals, also to understand, as Lorenzo was saying too, through his question, if they need to get somewhat adjusted. The delivery then comes down instead to the committees. So yes, the other committees and working groups and other people that are also submitting proposed items, same process. So we had dedicated calls, multiples for some people that had more goals. They provided feedback. That feedback adjusted and informed the goals, and also helped committees align their items to the. So it was like running side by side, checking if the items made sense and aligning the items at the same time. If that's what you were.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. That's perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question, John.
Thank you very much, John. I'm going to repeat Lawrence's words from the last session. That was also very funny. If we looked through the entire internet, I believe we would still find more questions about the budget. So if anyone has any questions, please raise your hand, no matter which ones they are. We will be gladly and happily answer. Come on, Lawrence, don't look at me with that face.
I can always raise questions for Lorenzo, but this is really, I'm looking at the people on the line. What questions, if any, do you have around the product for vision? All right, I'm going to throw out one more then, Lorenzo. That's for you. So,
Go
thinking of the childhood AMA on Saturday, if you haven't looked at those, for example, there was a number of things that Charles has made reference to coming to the chain next year. So thinking, Bitcoin and using the Cardano UTXO as an example. So where do you see the things like those off-chain elements like that coming to Cardano? Where do you see that in our vision for 2025?
I guess there are two sides of this, right? So first of all, how Charles's suggestions and points of view relate to this process. It's one side, and the other side is the specifics of that. So I'll start with the latter. So the any element that probably relates to improving our core assets as Cardano will probably relate to the on one side of business as usual, but also the getting more usage based on what came out from the consultation. That those seem to be two topics that kind of align with that. I think more broadly, again, this is a shared process and an open process. So Charles himself as well, as much as Charles is Charles, and he has knowledge about Cardano more than some people have here, which is good. He's part of the process himself as well. So he does bring forward ideas also through IOG, and then those need to be consulted and adjusted and refined together with the shared brain of the community. So TLDR, I would say like those are points that also have been raised during the consultation, some of the one that Charles has mentioned, and they need to be discussed and understood if how they fit in the roadmap and process and vision for 2025 and 2026. So it's all a discussion. You need to understand where does this sit.
Oh, thank you.
John. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, sorry. So I'm just kind of curious. It's maybe just expanding a little bit, but what does the product committee and sorry, how does Bitcoin OS relate to your work? Is it related directly or indirectly? The way I'm thinking is that the environment in which we're operating has changed kind of quite radically over the last couple of weeks since the announcement of Bitcoin OS. And it's been kind of driven by agents outside of Intersect, as far as I am aware. Charles is talking about it in the talk he gave just the other day. He was talking about him, whether it was I might have misquote here, but a dedicated person to work on that. And it seemed to me like he was saying that he would be doing some sort of more direct marketing of it himself. And some of those things will either take care of some of the vision points that we're talking about. The growth of that would take care of some of the vision points. And I'm just wondering if that is explicitly factored into our thinking. I'm sorry I haven't got that question more concise, but any thoughts rather than a specific answer?
I think I got the gist of what you're saying. So it's kind of like, if I kind of rephrase it back. So charts, of course, it's not. I mean, IOG is part of Intersect. Is one of the founding members. But of course, charts himself has his own does his own things as well. That's what you're saying as well. How does that process, and how does also the information that charts is going to hire someone to kind of focus on that, align with all of this. Again, I don't know if I even rephrase it, but something like that. Okay, I understand. I think there are, again, different sides to these questions. On one side, of course, Charles, as one of the key players in the ecosystem, can and should kind of progress any initiative that he thinks it's valuable and makes sense. So perhaps he will probably get a person, and as he said, and that perhaps will give us more data as a community. We will then get more information, or more that person might even become the like a project champion for that part. That could even make sense. Now, I think how this aligns is, again, the same thing, right? So this is not a proposal from Intersect. Intersect, in the form of the product committee, is just facilitating the process so that people have a place to kind of come and share, and we help collate and summarize, and then we check out, is this what you meant? So same thing will happen for Charles. So Charles is not by himself. What he's talking about, it's also widely acknowledged within the community, and actually we had discussions about this. So all of that will have to be factored in the process, adding whatever is the vision that comes out. So yeah, I don't know if that's an answer. That's just mostly thoughts, but I think that the key information is, it's not an Intersect proposal. Intersect is here to facilitate this. So Charles himself and anything that comes out of that participates into this process too.
Okay, it's close. Your thoughts. It's close enough to an answer. So
Yeah, I'd like to add a little color, a little context to that as well. Maybe.
please,
This is a very interesting part of the conversation. Like, this is a resource question, right? Lawrence and I just had this conversation nearly not even 2 hours ago now, about this idea of, we do want to know if resources that we would be relying on for other things would be used to pursue something new. That's important. We want to make sure that we've resourced all of the important things that Cardano needs to do, not just some of them. So it's great. This should come into conversation. But as far as who develops or chooses to develop, that's the beauty of permissionless and decentralized. We can all be developing whatever is most important to each of us. But what we want to make sure at Intersect is that we're focused on the core, and the core curious, the things that surround the core of Cardano, the product that we all use together to get to those other incredible things. So that's, that it's a great part of the conversation we still need to have, John. So thank you for bringing that forward. Really appreciate it.
yeah, certainly. Yeah, the way I'm coming at the problem is, say for the just from the marketing bit, the reputation building is different from like direct advertising. There's things that you do to build a reputation that are very expensive, but they don't have a direct sort of wallet creation KPI or something like that. So it's a little bit harder to get sort of a broad-based community buy-in amongst a very sort of, marketing naive, broad-based community. But some of the reputation things that you would do to build Cardano may be irrelevant if Charles is successful at, say, getting Cardano to work with and run US elections, or get Cardano to be Bitcoin's DeFi layer. There's certain things that will happen now that a couple of weeks ago we couldn't really have seen. And if other things are going to come up like that take care of some of those reputation building processes, then we would want to know, because otherwise we could spend and waste an awful lot of time, people's energy and money laying out certain things to build a reputation that are actually quite unnecessary if it's going to be taken care of by, running, Argentina's finances or America's elections. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, again, I think it's just a conversation we continue having a bit here. just because that reputational awareness will have picked up from some other areas, then what that would mean is that the resources in the marketing could move toward other resources. They could be, maybe they move more into an adoption phase rather than a reputational phase, right? Where they start looking at things, that would increase adoption from other types of business. Even maybe it's a B2B type of move because, hey, you've got this big success. Don't you want to build on that big success? So I think it's like anything else. We have to be fluid with our resources, with not to the point that we don't have a plan or direction. Obviously, we want a direction and a plan, but being fluid with our resources as well, so that in the end, whenever it comes down to it, and something good happens to us that we don't need resources in one direction, where do we redirect those resources? How do we do that efficiently and effectively?
Yeah, we need to mature and evolve into that element. But yes, in association with the committees, I think is a key thing there.
There is a tiny point that if things come up and the marketing group isn't quite on board, I'm always, speaking to Nico and Simon and the others who have slightly more responsibility for the group about the reputation management of that marketing working group, because I think that marketing group is slightly unique amongst all the other groups and committees in that it will be, if it's not already, a focus for the social media attention. What are you doing? How is it being? And if we're sort of not left out, I know we're not going to be left out of the conversation, but if we're a little bit behind or things move forward, or we're still working out like a lot of technical, pathways for distribution of funds and these sorts of, nuts and bolts work, it just, it's not just the marketing working group that is responsible for the marketing working group's reputation within the broader community. I think it really needs to be, known and recognized amongst a broader group that the reputation of the whole ecosystem does in some way funnel in and through the marketing efforts of that group to a degree. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does. One last thing with that, John, like we have this diagram that we've been starting to socialize. It's a bunch of puzzle pieces in a circle, and they're all pointing toward, a value prop in the center. That's the idea of basically everything in Intersect. So that goes along with what you're saying there, where it's like, it's not just one thing or another that, that is responsible for this. We all contribute bits and pieces to this whole. That is the point of Intersect, right? We all, whether it's a committee or a working group or whatever, each of us commits whatever our particular talent and brilliance is toward that whole value prop. And I'll try to, it's in several of our slides, but I'll try and find that, socialize that some more. That general idea that it's all of the committees, it's all of the working groups, it's all of the body of effort that Intersect puts forward is about driving the value prop for the community. If it's reputational awareness, if it's the budget, if it's the product, the vision, any of those elements, they all rely on all of us working together and all bringing our brilliance together to the shared vision there.
I really appreciate that. I'm on board. Thanks, Lloyd.
Thank you so much, John, once again. I did see that Mercy, you had your hand raised. Do you wanna chime in on something else?
I can quickly. I've lowered my hand now because it looks like I missed a big part of that conversation. Plus, I'll probably, attend the sessions on Thursdays. But basically, what I wanted to say is pretty much, I caught a little bit of what Lloyd was saying. That yes, we will do a lot of marketing events and so on and so forth. But we also have to prioritize usage, right? We have to be intentional in terms of, some of the entities that we have within the ecosystem to help them to, drive adoption and so on and so forth due to actual usage to local communities, right? So yeah, so be it education, tangible processes, outreach, as I've said already. There is a lot more that can be done outside of just outside of just marketing, right, in the typical sense of the word. So yeah, I'm happy to take this conversation into the product sessions on Thursdays. Absolutely. Yeah, but yes, it's everyone doing bits and pieces, and for us not to just focus on telling people, hey, we're here, because when they come, they need to find something to engage with, right? So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mercy. Now, we are approaching the end of this session. We have only 7 minutes left. Lorenzo, Lawrence, would you guys, and Lloyd, of course, would you guys like to say any last words? And if anyone has any questions, please raise your hand.
I think from my side, as Mercy will do on Thursday, feel free to join the conversation about these goals. I'll send again the link in the chat. There are different ways for everyone to participate. And thank you everyone for today.
Thank you so much,
Final words
Lorenzo.
from me. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, the final words from me are really just a thank you for everyone for giving up your time to come in and talk to us. Feel free to reach out to any of us if you've got any questions. We're on Discord and just about every other format. But yeah, if you've got any questions, email us. We're here to answer your questions. So thank you.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, thank you everyone for attending today. Laura, if you don't mind, please remind everyone of the resources that they need to visit if they want to visit the budget committee's knowledge base. It is bit.ly/Intersect CBC, just like our social platforms. If you want us on any of the social platforms, it's Intersect CBC. And if you are interested in joining future sessions of this, please also go to the Luma Cardano budget process. It's lu.ma/Cardano budget process. And if you don't mind sharing those links, Laura, please, so that they have them, I greatly appreciate it.
Of course, it'll be my pleasure. I'm just trying to get the bit.ly link because it seems it's not working. I'm not sure why. Yep, not found. 1 second, let me just get that for you. Oh, perfect. Of course it had to be with with capital letters. Everyone, I have just pasted the link in the chat for you to register to the following meetings and open calls about the Cardano budget process. Our next session will be tomorrow at 12 2 p.m. UTC. And we will welcome the technical steering committee to answer questions, do a little bit of a presentation, I believe. And if you want to ask any questions directly to the secretary of that committee, feel free to come. We will welcome you with open arms. Thank you so much, everyone. We hope you had a wonderful session and you had your questions answered either by you or everyone else. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Lawrence, Lorenzo, Professor Stephen Lupian, Lloyd, of course, John, and Mercy for asking questions, participating. See you in the next one.
Thank you all.